Yet for the believer in Christ, our suffering and our trials, they're not a surprise to God, nor are they wasted. Listen to what James chapter 1, verse 2 says. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. You see, trials, if we are trained by them, can wean us from the world, from self-reliance, from thinking I've got this, because none of us can, even know how high and mighty and powerful and wonderful and disciplined and amazing and whatever kind of heritage and whatever kind of giftings and abilities that you have, you can't make it on your own. We can't run on our own power and our own strength. That's arrogance. And arrogance is, and pride is an affront to God. Instead, in humility, trials humble us. Trials allow to burn off the dross, the sin, the junk in our lives that doesn't need to be there, and our focus becomes squarely greater in a more wonderful and more extreme way on Jesus. If we have been running away from God, oftentimes trials and suffering can bring us back to God. If we're believers in Christ, that's what it's going to do. Trials and suffering can drive us to prayer, drive us to the Word, drive us to intimacy, a greater intimacy with God. They drive us and should drive us into authentic community where we have brothers and sisters standing and praying and walking with us. We need that, each one of us. You can't make it on your own. You can't do it. And ultimately, trials bring us to surrender on our knees, independence before God, where we say, oh God, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. We're broken. We're on our face before Him. And that is a good, in fact, that is the best place to be. That is the place we are to be daily in our lives. Oh God, I can't, but God, you can. Oh God, I'm sinful, but you are worthy. God, I'm unable, but you are mighty and you are powerful. And ultimately in trials, we have this in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 to 18. Listen to these verses. So we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light, momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. So folks, because of this hope, we don't lose heart. We continue on, we persevere. We count it joy. We know that God will do much for His glory in our lives, in our trials and our suffering, but we must prepare to suffer because it's coming, but may we suffer well. And Peter is preparing God's people for suffering, the suffering well. Look what he says in verse 13 and 14. It says, now, who is there to harm you if you are zealous for what is good? But even if you should suffer for righteousness' sake, you will be blessed.